Good morning, traders. I'm Emily Ivani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Friday, January 17th. Ahead of the extended holiday weekend, all three major indices are on track to end the week higher, even after markets ended in the red yesterday. During regular trading, the Dow closed down slightly off 68 points or 0.16%. The S&P 500 gave up 12 points or just less than 0.25%. The Nasdaq dropped 172 points or 0.89%. Bill, let's get into Friday's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Hi, good morning, Emily. Yeah, I'm watching the S&Ps. The S&Ps are, showing some nice positive activity. We're up 0.58%. I mean, that's a nice rally. We were up like, 0.3%, and then 0.4, and now we're up almost 0.6%. So we're actually seeing some nice, green activity on the screen this morning. The key economic event overnight was really the China GDP reading, which came in very strong, continuing their goal of, 5% expansion, which for 2024. That was big news. But, the Chinese markets and the Hong Kong market didn't really bump up off of that news, which I found a little surprising. But today in the markets, I mean, we do know that Monday is a holiday. We do know that Trump is taking office on Monday. He's going to get inaugurated, and he's expected to announce a host of executive orders on Monday related to like tariffs on China, Canada, Mexico, possible sanctions on, Iran and Venezuela on oil. And then, he's going to be doing one on immigration as well as one on Bitcoin. So, we got to. There's a lot expected from the Trump administration. The fact of the matter is, the administration's never really come through on all their promises. You put paperwork in there to say you did something on it, but we'll see if it actually turns into positive action for the markets on Tuesday morning. What else do we have? RIVN, ticker RIVN, Richard India, Victor Nancy, they said that they closed on a loan agreement with the Department of Energy for a new plant. That's positive. Starboard Value has taken a 7.7% stake in chipmaker QRVO, ticker QRVO, Quentin, Richard, Victor, Oscar. We got the housing starts, building permits data that's out later this morning. Could be interesting, but they keep an eye on those 30-year fixed mortgage rates. I mean, they're at 7.37%, which is ultra high. And I see that Medicare is out with data this morning, and they're going to start price negotiations on weight loss drugs. This is kind of negative news for Lilly and Novo, LLY, and NVO. Those stocks are trading a little lower this morning. But now let's take a look over at Europe. In Europe, we're showing big gains. We're showing big gains in Europe. I mean, you look at the DAX. The DAX is up 1.02%. You look at the FTSE, it's up 1.36%. And the CAC in Paris is up 1.05%. I mean, it's really about interest rates. The lower inflation rate, lower inflation data is really propelling the notion and sentiment that there are going to be additional interest rates cuts in the coming year. And that's very positive for those markets. And we're seeing them, react higher on as a result. I mean, in London, I mean, you also have some talks about merger activity in the mining sector that is causing a little bit of help. And you look at the French market; it's up 2.7% for the week. I mean, a lot of it is corporate earnings too. The corporate earnings did come in positive, especially for the luxury sector. Luxury sector is a little weak this morning. It's not one of the leaders, but it's still pretty darn good. Then we're taking a look at Asia last night, and Asia saw mixed action, I guess. I mean, the Nikkei fell 121 points. That's 0.31%. Remember that they got a BOJ meeting next week where a rate hike is very possible. So, I'm not surprised to see a little cautionary tone in that market ahead of a BOJ meeting and let it reduce volatility. But Hong Kong, it did rise. I mean, it rose 0.31%. China rose 0.18%. A lot of it is due to the fact that China's economy grew 5.4% year on year in the for the fourth quarter of 2024, which was a big tick upwards from the 4.6% expansion that they saw in the third quarter. So that caused the markets to move, but it didn't move as much as I thought they would. But you look at these Chinese retailer stocks, and they're trading higher as a result. So that's all positive. Then we're taking a look at oil. Oil has turned lower. It's down slightly. WTI is at $78.53 a barrel. Brent is at $80.96 a barrel. It was higher. But the sanctions are kind of the key catalyst here. The incoming Trump administration may impose sanctions on Iran and Venezuela is kind of the talk. But there's also talk about President Trump reaching out to try and create an end to the Ukraine-Russian war. And in order to do that, he's going to have to remove the sanctions on Russian oil. So, that would be, if he removes the sanctions on Russian oil, you could, you're going to have a glut of production out there. So we got to keep an eye on that because that could be a catalyst for next week on oil prices. But that's what I have for you in terms of the morning market update report, Emily.
Bill, on this Friday, as really every morning, I can hear from your opening, you're on top of things. You get to your desk and you're not trying to catch up like many of us do. You really have a good handle of everything that's going on overseas with economic events, with earnings action and other market moving headlines. And how are you doing this? It's because you have your NewsWare. And earnings action is continuing to pick up as we have made it throughout the week. So let's start there, Bill. What is going on in terms of earnings?
Yeah, we had a lot of good earnings come in. I mean, this morning we had State Street, ticker STT, Sam Tom Tom. They beat by 16 cents, and they did that on higher revenue. Stock's getting hit, though. It's down 3.5%. Then you have Fastenal, ticker FAST, Frank Apple, Sam Tom. They missed by 2 cents, and that was done on lower revenue. So that stock's down 4.5%. And then you have Schlumberger, Slob, ticker SLB, Sam Larry Boy. They beat by 2 cents on higher revenue. Plus, there's other good news there, and that stock's up 1.8% this morning. There's no earnings out after the close today, and Monday's a holiday. So, we're taking a look at Tuesday, and Tuesday morning we got 3M, Minnesota Mining Manufacturer, coming out with earnings. Their EPS is 90 cents with an expected move of 5.93%. Then you get Charles Schwab, ticker SCHW, Sam Charlie Henry William. Their EPS is $1.66 with an expected move of 6.28%. I want to point out Tuesday afternoon after the bell, Netflix is announcing, ticker NFLX. Their EPS is $4.20, and the expected move is 8.84%. That's like a $75 move in the stock price. So we got to be cautious there. But we got a lot of good earnings coming up next week, and Tuesday really is going to get us off, on the right foot. 3M, Charles Schwab, Netflix. So these are the ones to be paying attention to, Emily.
And again, Bill, as you return to your desk on Tuesday after Monday's holiday, you're going to have all of that information right at your fingertips as those reports come out. We will follow that right here on NewsWare's Trade Talk. The other area that we follow day in and day out and becomes increasingly important as we're looking ahead to 2025, the health of the economy, what the Fed's going to do next, are all the economic events. That includes economic reports, but also things coming from the Fed. Fed speak. We follow when they release their notes, the dot plot, and all of this information is important to put the pieces of the puzzle together. So, Bill, give us a rundown of what we should be watching when it comes to the day's economic events.
At 8:30 a.m., we got housing starts and building permits. At 9:15, we got industrial production. Then at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time, we get the Baker Hughes rig count. I mean, one of the things that I noticed was Christopher Waller, the Federal Reserve governor, because bond yields dropped. Kind of dropped to lower levels than I've seen a couple weeks. On Thursday, because he was speaking, and Waller suggested that multiple rate reductions could occur this year, possibly starting in the first half of the year if inflation continues to trend downward. He cautioned his outlook and said he may be more optimistic regarding inflation as compared to some of the other Federal Reserve members, but he emphasized that a number of cuts, are definitely on the table, and it's very possible, and it could be limited to one or two if the inflation, remains persistently high. But the fact that he did mention that, that it did mention multiple cuts. I was pretty surprised. So that was really looked at as a benefit for the markets. And you look at Europe. Europe's rallying on interest rate reduction, prospects. So that's we could see. We could be seeing more interest rate reductions than we currently anticipated last week, Emily.
Bill, perfect example of how to catch that information and get a handle on that, a positive sentiment for the market there following those comments. And not only did you get that information as it was happening, but you're able to look back at that information and have it as sort of a historical context. And again, this is all using your newsware, and you're gathering this information. You have access to the latest, and also you have that historical record. And when it comes to day in and day out, you're also looking at other information as it hits the tape, things like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news, catalyst calls. You look at your stocks grouped together like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks. So, Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
Doing a quick data check. I'm looking at my Dow stocks. I got 24 higher, 5 lower, 1 unchanged. I'm looking at my FANG stocks. I'm showing gains of more than 0.5% to across the board. So that's all positive action. You look at some of the news, like Apple hit its at a was really weak yesterday. It really took a hit yesterday, but this morning it is turned around. It's up 0.9%. So that's kind of positive action. There's then we turning our attention to Amazon, because Morgan Stanley's out there theorizing that Amazon could be a strategic buyer of TikTok. Remember, TikTok is scheduled to go away on Sunday. It's scheduled to go dark. Now, if TikTok goes dark on Sunday, Google and Meta will likely gain, because TikTok has 10 billion in ad revenue that has to go somewhere. It's not going to disappear. There is talk that the Biden administration is looking for legal ways to prevent it from going dark on Sunday, but we'll see if that happens. What else do we have? Meta CEO Zuckerberg, he seemed to have blamed the former CEO Sheryl Sandberg for its policies to encourage employee self-expression in the workplace. First off, I don't care about that, but Sheryl Sandberg, throwing her on the bus. I mean, she's got stripes. She's earned them. Netflix, don't forget, earnings are coming out on Tuesday afternoon. That's going to be a big one. In terms of Dow Jones 30 stocks, AXP, American Express, they're going to be paying $230 million to resolve an investigation of deceptive credit card sales practices. Microsoft, ticker MSFT. Microsoft CEO met with Trump on Wednesday, and apparently they discussed, cybersecurity, Microsoft's big investment in AI. So, there's going to be, that could be interesting. There could be something there. In terms of merger news, we got to talk about what's going on in the mining space, because Rio Tinto and Glencore, which are European companies, they were in talks about a merger possibly. I just saw a report hit the tape, said that talks ended without a deal. That doesn't mean a deal isn't still possible. Just talks ended without a deal. On Friday, they're 6 hours ahead. So, okay, we'll see. In terms of guidance needs, WDC, William David Charity, that's a Western Digital. They see Q2 EPS at the low end of the prior issued guidance range. Remember, their prior guidance range was $1.75 to 2.05. Now the consensus is $1.86. So they're saying it's going to be in the lower range. So we'll have to see how that comes in when their earnings are announced. In terms of buyback news, Schlumberger, ticker SLB, Sam Larry Boy, Schlumberger initiated a 2.3 accelerated share repurchasing plan. This is going to boost shareholder returns to at least $4 billion in 2025. So SLB, nice move, and that stock is trading higher. It's up over 2% this morning. In terms of catalyst calls, we got to talk Cisco, ticker CSCO, Charlie Oscar. Citibank added Cisco to its positive catalyst watch list going into earnings. So that's a nice one. You're looking at shares of Cisco. It's up 1.12% this morning, Emily. And that's what I have for you in terms of news hitting the tape.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. It is now that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, what do you have for us to end this week?
Going with 3M, Minnesota Mining Manufacturing. Michael, earnings are out Tuesday morning. Now, let's take a look at the stock for a second. I mean, the call volume yesterday, 21,258 to put volume of 8,000. 959. That's more than 2 to 1. The open interest 176,023 to 102,289. Very positive. Now the major brokers do like the stock. They do have strong ratings on the stock. And remember, this Minnesota mining manufacturing was a juggernaut for years. I mean, the stock. I remember the stock was trading at 350. Back in 10 years ago. But they had that forever chemicals issue, which they seem to have been able to resolve. They make boring products. They make the face masks, they make Scotch tape, post-it notes. This is what they do, and they do it very well. They have a huge business on it. Now the stock's at 139.5 right now. I'm looking to get in, low 139s. Under 139 would be, the best of breed for me. But if it sells off, I could get in at 137. We got an average, to get an average price down a little lower with the 138, because I do think we're going to see some positive activity going into the stock, especially when the earnings are coming out Tuesday morning. So 3M, that's my pick of the day. Minnesota mining manufacturing, at 139 or below, Emily. That's my pick of the day.
3M it is, an earnings play there, running into earnings on Tuesday, as you mentioned. And coming up, we will do a recap on yesterday's pick of the day, which also was running into its earnings report. So we'll see how that worked out. But first, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, take it away.
Ozempic from Novo Nordisk was selected for U.S. price negotiations. Look at the stock NVO. Nancy Victor Oscar, down 4.13% this morning. That's not positive for them. Lilly's down, 0.5%, on the news. Intel strength said to be tied to an unconfirmed takeover chatter. INTC, India, Nancy, Tom, Charlie. Let's see where the stock's doing. INTC. It's up 5.39%. Oh, interesting. Takeover chatter always causes stocks to rally. Southwest Airlines, ticker LUV, Larry Uncle Victor, they completed their IATA operational safety audit. Western Digital, ticker WDC. Jabry is going to be resigning, so they're searching for a new CFO for their hard disk unit. Walmart unveiled a new 350-acre campus in Arkansas. Chinese retailer stocks are rallying on that strong China GDP data. QGen, Quinton, Grace, Edward, Nancy announced details of its estimated 300 million synthetic share repurchase. This is odd. I got to look into that because it seems odd to me. PLD, Paul, Larry, David, they're releasing earnings Tuesday morning, but their put call ratio is 3.88, which is pretty negative. Stock's expected to move $7.24 when those earnings come out. Story out there that Netflix big bet on sporting events is expected to have driven more than 9 million subscriber additions in the holiday quarter. Remember, they had the NFL games and they had that Jake Paul, Mike Tyson boxing match. Boeing resumed testing for its long-delayed 777 wide-body jet on Thursday. Looking at shares of Boeing, they're up about 0.7% this morning. Lyft, ticker LYFT, a federal judge on Thursday dismissed a lawsuit accusing the company of defrauding shareholders by waiting too long to correct a mistake in an earnings release that caused the ride-sharing company's stock to, have wide price fluctuations. That's all I'm saying this morning, Emily.
Okay, Bill, before we get to trading on this Friday ahead of the holiday weekend, let's do that check-in on yesterday's pick of the day, which was Truist Financial. Now, they did release earnings this morning, and it's a smaller bank, and it was sort of floating amongst all these big banks, but they did report a beat. They reported a Q4 EPS of 91 cents. That was 3 cents better than the analyst estimates of 88 cents. Revenue for the quarter came in at $5.11 billion versus the consensus estimate of $5.04 billion. A nice report there, Bill. You were hoping to get in at a discount, that we see some positive momentum upward. How did your call work out?
This is a wild one because the stock opened up at $44.94, and then it quickly ran to $45.49, beating the 1%. But this was done in like 5 minutes. I wasn't able to get in, but then it moved lower, and it actually closed at $44.94, which was a good entry price. And I was saying under 45, and then look at the stock this morning; it's at 46.38, and currently trading 46.30 to 46.35. So yeah, we that was a good winner. Truist Financial, TFC, win. A
nice win there, Bill, to close out the week, and we will check in with you on Tuesday about today's 3M pick of the day. A reminder that markets are closed on Monday in observance of the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here Tuesday at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Vani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.